It's 2017, and you're sitting in your room again, browsing. This website is a forum for people who buy and sell usernames. Yeah, that's real money someone's willing to pay for your account. This is because the username is just one word, no underscores, no numbers, the purest version of the name. People are willing to pay big money for these accounts, and this market's huge, especially back in 2017. And you know you're not here by accident. Like with most kids, it started off with video games. While playing Call of Duty, you learn about a program called Wireshark, how it can be used to capture and browse incoming traffic, and how you can turn those IP addresses into information about the people in your lobby. Here is when you first learn about the power of information. Wanting to learn more, someone sends you to a Twitter user called Ferno. You ask him for a mentorship, and he agrees, but only if you agree to work as his slave. He teaches you how to dox account owners to find their personal information, how to recover their accounts using the doxed information, and where you can sell the accounts or the rare items obtained from the user. At first, it's insanely fun, but after a while, you realize this doesn't really take any skills. You're just using programs and websites made by other people. You're only 14 years old at this point, but you know you're smarter than this. So you start browsing the forum again. Try to find out who's making the most money on the site and what the hell they're doing. Many users on the forum are talking about America's new cybersecurity plan. You see, in 2016, when Obama was still president, he decided to make two-factor authentication the gold standard for account security, prompting both the public and private companies to start using it in order to move beyond just using passwords. There's just one problem. Two-factor authentication is a very good way to add an extra layer of security to your account, but there's two types of 2FA, and they're not made equal. The first type is an app, like Google Authenticator. You'll link it to your account, and now in order to log in, you must open the app on the device you set it up on, and type in the code to access your account from there. As long as you're not linked to the cloud, there's almost no way to access your account without stealing your physical phone. The other type is SMS verification. This one is significantly weaker since it sends the codes upon request to the number associated with your account. Now of course, this also means that someone can steal your phone and get in that way, but they don't actually need your physical phone. All they need is your number. Now, if you have a phone, of course you know that your number is assigned to your SIM card. But did you know that your mobile carrier can move this number to any SIM card on their network? This means that if I have a blank SIM card, one that's unregistered but compatible with the same carrier, the carrier can activate it with your number, which means that all your calls and texts are sent to my device. Some forum users are using this to gain access to OG accounts to sell them off, but known users like Xavier and Joel have started using this method to gain access to crypto accounts owned by rich investors. You learn how to do this too. During this time, being a caller was quite common. Basically, what you would do is call AT&T or any carrier, pretending to be the victim, and claim that your phone is lost or stolen. Then you'd use the victim's docs to try and verify their identity, and then ask the support agent to move the number to the SIM card in your possession. This was the cheap way to get in, and the success rate wasn't that great either since it would change depending on the carrier. Some were simply stricter than others. You discover a better way to get a successful SIM swap, one with a 100% success rate. You write up a Python script that searches the internet for telecom employees at different carriers. The script then contacts that employee and asks them if they're willing to help you move a number to a new SIM card for a few $100s. You don't give too much information, and just wait for the right kind of person to respond. After SIM swapping a couple of Instagram accounts and selling them back to the community, a user by the name of Harry hits you up, asking if you can swap an AT&T with him. After you agree to work together and split the money 50-50, he gives you the target's docs. Michael Turpin. I wonder how much money he has. You hop in a Skype call together, and soon after, your insider performs the swap. Now the timer starts. When a SIM swap is performed, the original SIM card gets disabled so the network can connect to the new one. So at this time, Michael must be aware that he's just been SIM swapped. Luckily for you, Harry had been stalking him for a while now and knew that today he would be attending a crypto conference in Las Vegas. This event would give you at most 40 minutes before he'd find out and start working on gaining access to his accounts again. You boot up another script and start searching through his emails and accounts for keywords like Bitcoin, crypto, and keys. You reset and go through every email you can find attached to him. No luck. But then you go into his OneDrive account and check the trash folder. Jackpot. Inside this deleted document are the login credentials and seed phrases to various accounts owned by Michael. You check the first wallet and realize it has almost $900 million in Ethereum. Your heart drops, but you can't access it. You don't have the second password. Fuck. This is because Michael is using an advanced hardware wallet, like Ledger. This allows him to add a 25th word to his seed phrase, essentially acting like a second password. And this small extra security feature just saved Turpin from losing $894 million. This is why I use Ledger as my hardware wallet, and if you want to secure your own assets, I can't recommend them enough.
This message was brought to you by Ledger. Link in the description.
Look at this guy. No bitches, no crypto, no Riz, no Aura. No Aura? Wait, why? Well, because he's not using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Have you ever opened your bank account and seen a transaction for a shady website you've never even been on? Yeah, that's identity theft, and Aura is here to prevent it from happening to you. Do you remember when you signed up to that shady website a few years ago? Well, they saved your information, and since their security sucks, hackers are able to steal it from them. To prevent this, Aura searches the entire internet to find out which websites have your information. Then they tell them to delete it. Now you can focus on the real problems, like finding all those hot singles in your area. To get started, you can go to aura.com/ironic, and they'll let you try it out for free for 14 days. Thank you, Aura, for sponsoring this video. Check a few more seeds before you load up a wallet with a bunch of random altcoins. One of those altcoins was a coin called Trigger, worth around $7 each. And in this wallet, Michael had around 3 million of them. Immediately, you move the funds to a new wallet, and shortly after, you're kicked off the SIM card. There's nothing you can do about the 900 million now. You're just gonna have to cash out what you have. There's just one problem. You don't know how to exchange the coins. There's not really a lot of exchanges that allow you to trade triggers at the moment, but your best option seems to be Binance. But you can't sign up for an account as a miner, and obviously you don't want to give them your personal information anyway. So you post on Twitter asking your followers for help. Most of them are already associated with this kind of crime life, so many of them respond offering to help you out. One of your followers, called Nick, joins your VC and asks what's going on. You explain to him what just went down, and he seems very impressed with the heist given your age. He's also dabbled in SIM swapping before, which gives him some credibility to help you out. He gives both of you access to his Binance account, and you deposit $1.5 million. A few minutes later, he kicks both of you out and leaves the call. You realize you've just been scammed. Harry freaks out, starts cursing the fuck out of Nick, calling him poor, and even threatening to hire a hitman on him. You tell him it's not worth it. I mean, you're both still up big time, and it's way too risky to take action against him. You keep moving the funds with another 6 of your followers, and give all of them back a small percentage of whatever they exchange. By the end of the day, both you and Harry have about 560 coins each, worth around $20 million combined. Right now, Nick is sitting in his Manhattan apartment, just 18 miles away from you. For the first time in his life, he just hit 7 figures because of you. He messages his dad and his friends, and tells them that he just stole the wallet with 24 million on it. Now, both you and I know that Nick didn't actually hack Turpin, so why is he claiming that he did? Well, this is because Nick is a LARP, a live action role player. This is a term commonly associated with people who pretend to be something they're not. In Nick's case, he wants to pretend to be a big-time SIM swapper, like you and Harry. This is a dangerous move. Although Nick has SIM swapped at this point for like 5 to 6 figures, he's never touched real money like this until now. But that's not the image he wants to portray. So, in order to build up this reputation, even if he is just low 7 figures right now, he's gonna pretend like he got a bigger split, and that he was actually involved in hacking Turpin. Like with most role players, as soon as the money comes in, Nick's gonna do everything in his power to spend it as fast as he can. He starts renting a penthouse in the luxury apartment building Sky on West 42nd Street. He also buys a new iced out AP for special occasions, as well as a Rolex for daily wear. He offers to fly his friends out to the Super Bowl on a PJ with porn star escorts. Whether this plan actually fell through, I don't know, but the story behind it is pretty funny regardless. It's April 2018, around 3 months after the Turpin hack. Nick walks into the gym on the 3rd floor of his apartment building. There, he spots a man, Chris David. Nick introduces himself to Chris and recognizes him as a broker from Fly Black Jets, a private jet chartering company. He tells Chris and explains to him that he wants to charter a flight to Miami for the 4th of July weekend. Chris meets him a few days later at his apartment and gives him back a quote for $38,000. Nick shows him his Gemini account with $12 million on it, and asks if he can pay with Bitcoin. Then after that, he shows him his JP Morgan account with 7 million. Then for absolutely no reason at all, he brings out 2 Trezor wallets. He says one has 20 million on it and the other has 40. He also says he has 2 more hidden elsewhere, but doesn't specify the amount. At this point, Chris is extremely sketched out. I mean, Nick is only 20, and in order to make this much money from mining, you'd have to start out at like 10 years old. Nick also doesn't seem like the computer genius type. He acts more like a spoiled rich kid. Now, after cashing out $10 million, it's hard not to start spending immediately. So of course, you buy an Audi R8 in your parents' name, take a small vacation with your mom to Chicago, and upgrade your fashion taste with some Supreme and LV. You also buy a Patek Philippe with Bitcoin, and keep it under your bed, and take out $100,000 in cash to store there too. But besides that, you decide to keep most of the money for your future. I mean, you're only 15, it's only gonna look more suspicious if you spend more, and besides, you don't really like feeling rich. Instead, you decide to focus your time on just living your life and finding other ways to make money online. You have enough money to last you a while now, so these are just passion projects. You make a couple thousand off coding sneaker bots, start working towards making your own startup company, and try and balance this with real life and school. You start playing soccer again, meet some girls, and start finally getting the hang of this low-key life you were trying to create all along. But then one day, you get a message from Nick. He knows you're not too bothered about the 100 Bitcoin he stole from you, so it seems like he wants to be friends now. He offers to meet up and take you on a night out partying in Soho. You meet up at Grand Central Station with your buddy and see Nick standing in the corner with his AP on. He says what's up, and then directs both of you to an Uber, which takes you to his apartment on West 42nd. Inside, he shows you some lines and a little bit of cash, but you're not impressed. A couple minutes later, 2 girls show up, and you all head to an Italian restaurant for dinner. 2 hours later, you're standing inside Up and Down, an exclusive nightclub in the West Village. You're surrounded by beautiful girls, and Nick just ordered 4 bottles of Dom Perignon for you and your buddy. As he hands you the bottle, your friend takes out his phone and snaps this legendary picture. Nick introduces you to some people that night. Some of them seem to know a lot about you already. This weirds you out. By 6 a.m., you and your friend are in an Uber heading home. You both tell your parents your sleepover just ended early. They're none the wiser. It's November 14th, and Nick is once again sitting in his apartment playing video games. He gets a knock on his door. Paranoid, he checks the peephole. He asks the officers what their business is. They tell him they have a warrant for his arrest. You see, just 2 weeks earlier, Nick had SIM-swapped a man named Robert Ross for almost $1 million. But like usual, Nick wasn't the mastermind of this crime. He was being used as a mule. You see, when a SIM swap occurs, someone needs to hold the physical phone to receive the victim's codes. But since your burner phone is now connected to the network, it sends out general location data to the nearest tower. Now, if you're smart, you'd never hold the phone. Just pay someone else a percentage, and they'll take that risk for you. Someone like Nick. To make matters worse, Nick had been so careless that he decided to do the swap from his own apartment, as opposed to renting an Airbnb or going to a hotel. His apartment is searched, and the cops find one of the Trezors with $300,000 on it. And after further investigation, Nick is connected to at least 5 other victims, one of which is Michael. Seems like his biggest downfall was telling his friend Chris David how he made his money. Chris had secretly recorded Nick during one of their conversations, where he admitted to SIM swapping and explained it to him, as well as telling him that he had hacked Michael, saying he was the biggest target he ever hit and that he'll never be caught because he's so good at hacking. Even though you and I both know that Nick was barely involved, I'm sure you can see how this is an open and shut case. A part of Michael's funds were sent straight to Nick's Binance account. He literally admitted to hacking him on a voice recording, and on top of that, Chris had piled up mountains of evidence against them. On his Twitter account, the same one he used to contact you, Nick admitted to stealing $24 million 6 times in 1 hour. He talked about SIM swapping his own dad for $15,000 and flexed his SIM swapper lifestyle. As if tweeting this stuff wasn't bad enough, his account wasn't even private, so anyone could see his stuff. To top it all off, Chris had also gone with Nick to an AT&T store to perform a SIM swap. While Nick was sitting down with the telecom employee, Chris snapped this picture of him as evidence. But I mean, why would Chris even betray Nick? I mean, weren't they friends? Well, yeah, but Chris was still collecting evidence on Nick just in case things went south in their friendship. And that's exactly what happened on September 6th when they went out clubbing. It's 3 a.m. when they all went home. Chris tries to help Nick up to his apartment since he's so drunk, but shortly after they get there, the four men ambush Nick and start demanding him to open up his crypto wallets. They punch Nick in the stomach, put his head underwater in his own bathtub, and pour hot wax on him in order to extort him for the crypto. After he wouldn't budge, the men steal his laptop, 2 of his phones, and 1 of the Trezor wallets. Except, none of this actually happened. In reality, Nick had started acting crazy after he got home. Likely because he realized one of the guys he brought home was a victim he had SIM swapped a few weeks earlier. In a panic, he starts shouting that everyone should leave, lights a few candles, and tries to throw them at the guests. After the situation gets a little more heated, Nick gives Chris his laptop, tells him to keep it for now. Chris leaves for the night. When he comes back to return the laptop the following morning, he's questioned by the police. Nick had apparently called them and told them the lie that I told you earlier. Chris hangs out with Nick for the next few days to try and get him to confess that the story was false, which he did. But the phones and the Trezor really had been stolen. After some of the items were returned, Chris thinks the situation is most likely gonna die, but then he gets arrested, spends the night in jail. Of course, he proves the charges are false, and shortly after they're dropped. But now he's pissed, and 2 months later, he files an affidavit to support Michael Turpin's case against Nick, essentially putting the final nail in his coffin. As soon as you hear the news about Nick's arrest, you message your friend. You know he was sloppy, but you also realize he can connect you to the heist. And although you deleted your messages with him, how do you know he did the same? And what if he kept them to use as evidence against you? A few days pass, then a few weeks. Then all of a sudden, your mother gets an email from Michael's lawyers. She confronts you about it and tells you should probably contact a law firm, try and strike some sort of deal. Shortly after, you send Michael back a hardware wallet with all 562 bitcoins on it, as well as your watch and the cash you had. The problem is that the crypto market had crashed significantly since the heist in January, and now your bitcoins are only worth $2 million. This doesn't satisfy Michael, so he tries to take further legal action against you. Thankfully, you're still a minor, so this isn't easy for him, but this all changes on your 18th birthday, when you get hit with a massive lawsuit. This time it's civil court, not criminal, so no arrests are made. You contact your lawyer again and set up a meeting to discuss settlement options. Then you go to bed. You wake up, open the drawer next to your bed, and grab the shotgun. You see your mother in the hallway, and she tells you they're in the basement. You close the door, and together you set up a barricade. As the police arrive, you try and make a move. You bust down into the basement and manage to corner one of the intruders. Another one jumps out of the broken window, but is caught by police shortly after. 2 more got away. You know exactly why these guys are here. Ever since Michael sued you, your name has been all over the news, talking about the genius Bitcoin hacker. You realize this isn't what you want to be known for, so you decide to leave this life behind. You agree to pay Michael back the rest of the stolen $24 million, which means you'll likely be in debt for the rest of your life. This doesn't bother you. I mean, you made $24 million before. Why can't you do it again, legally? After graduating from NYU with a bachelor in computer science, you decide to travel South America for a full month. Say yes to almost anything. When you come back, you start working on a new startup company, CollectWise, which is an AI debt collection company. Pretty if you ask me. But what about Nick? Well, because he lied to Chris about having almost $80 million, the court documents now confidently state this as his net worth. This is obviously bad for his case, since now he's being framed as the mastermind of the Michael Turpin hack, even if he was just supposed to be a mule that went rogue. Now, judges don't like being lied to, so this statement's pretty hard to backtrack. Besides, Nick tweeted out multiple times that he stole $24 million, so it's not like they would believe him anyway. In civil court, Nick is ordered to pay Michael Turpin $75.8 million in restitution. But since it's civil court, he can't be imprisoned for failure to pay. Then, in December 2022, Nick pleads guilty to wire fraud charges and is sentenced to 18 months in prison, as well as having to pay Michael $20 million in restitution. Now this is criminal court, so if Nick can't pay, the judge can simply lock him up until he does. When Nick was let out on supervised release in 2023, he quickly found a way to access some funds and used them to buy luxury items. As a result, the judge decided to hold Nick in civil contempt until he repays his restitution, meaning he will be held up to 20 years unless he pays or proves the inability to do so. Now, at this point, Nick has two options. He can either come clean and say that the $80 million was a lie, and this would potentially open him up to further sentencing since he would have lied multiple times, potentially under oath. Or he can lie, say that he lost access to some imaginary ledger nano with around 3,200 bitcoins on it. If the judge believes that this ledger exists and that he actually can't access it, he's basically off scot-free. As of June 2025, Nick has served an extra 13 months on top of his 18-month sentence in 2022. He still hasn't paid Michael Turpin back a dime, and he probably never will. But there's one person we're forgetting in all of this. What happened to Harry? Well, another YouTuber, Crumb, notes that Ellis describes Harry as a guy with an English accent living in Spain, and that this perfectly matches the hacker Plugwalk Joe, who I've already made a video about a couple years ago. In that video, I talk about how I knew that Joe had at least $10 million, but I never knew exactly where he got it from. This kinda solves that mystery, and Joe is set to be released in February next year, if he hasn't been released already. That means if he doesn't get connected to his heist, which I doubt he will, he's basically set for the rest of his life, because today, the 562 bitcoins he stole are worth around
$55 million.
Blow bands, blow bands, blow bands. Blow bands, blow bands, blow bands. Check my pants, they say true man. They say true man.